I have to do that every time. You guys, such an exciting day. Rachel is finally on.
Hello. I'm excited.
She's on the podcast and we're recording it. So this is all new. It's not typically this bright in here. Honestly, this makeup room is like the worst lighting in the whole entire world.
It honestly is.
So Rachel and I are drinking. We're having Malibu and the bubbly pineapple coconut.
Yeah, it's delicious.
It's so good and so dangerous. So I think we should start with, first of all, you guys, I'm going to get a drink. First of all, you guys, we have had so many questions on Instagram about us.
Quartz told me none of them.
None of them. She has no, except the one that's like an overwhelming question. And we will get to that one. But first, we should do a little a backstory on us.
Okay.
So Rachel and I, we grew up together basically.
Yeah.
Kind of like Ethan and I.
Going to the same church. That's where we met.
Yep, we went to the same church. And the story goes that we were all, I don't even know, it was like worship or something. And Rachel had a pack of gum.
Yeah, it was one of those 25-cent ones you get, in vending machines.
It is really small. You only get 5
and
pieces?
like when you're a kid, like your candy is like precious.
Yeah.
And you don't want to share.
Her candy gum.
And Court, I didn't know her.
No.
And she came up and was like, saw me. I feel like it might have been Big Red.
Yes, and I feel like your sister asked for a piece.
Yep.
And so then I was like, can I have a piece? And I specifically remember you like looking at me and looking at your gum.
Like, shoot, I only have 3 pieces left and now I have to give this random girl one.
Like, I don't want to be mean, but I should probably give her a piece of gum. And that's literally how we met.
That's like our first interaction that we can both remember.
Yes. And like I said with Ethan, like I don't really ever physically remember somebody being like, this is Rachel and this is Courtney.
Feel like I low-key remember our moms introducing us. Being like, oh, I have a daughter around her age.
Yeah.
And being like, this is Court.
One of my memories of like the youngest time was when we used to do lines around the church.
Yeah, we would like dance around during worship.
Like in a legit line, and we'd whip the person in the back. Yes. I remember you were in the back one time and I was like, whoosh. Totally. And I just remember your face like, oh my God. So we go way, way back.
Yeah, we're going on like 25, 30 years of friendship.
That's insane. Well, yeah, I'm coming up on 36 and we started going to that church when I was like 6.
Yeah.
So that like could be 30 years. That's crazy. If we met when I was 6. I don't really remember.
Yeah, it was grade school for sure.
For sure. We used to walk from church to the gas station nearby to go remember cappuccinos?
Oh my gosh. Ew, thinking about that now, I'm like, how did we drink that?
I don't know. Ugh. It's like from the gas station to it's pure sugar.
So sweet and
ugh, it's so gross. And I also remember like a big thing with us was like we love candy.
Yep.
And we would get Laffy Taffy. They were
the
thick
big ones.
Yes.
The watermelon seeds.
Yes. Oh. And the grape sweet tarts.
Yep.
Oh my God. But my freaking they don't make it like that anymore.
Why don't they make them?
I don't know.
With the tarts in them anymore. They were so good.
I feel like it added so much. It had like a crunch and
the best.
The watermelon seeds didn't, but I don't know. Anyway, so that's how we met. And we kind of went through like during school time, like I'm 1 year older than Rachel in school wise. And so when I went to youth group for 1 year, we like barely hung out.
Yeah,
and I
she hung out with my
sister.
sister. She's a traitor.
Yeah. Traitor. Traitor. I did.
I was like left behind. Like I was like the one who was.
Remember you couldn't go to camp and I went to camp and I was like, yeah, so I went to camp and, your sister went to camp and.
I know.
So that was the, the little trials. And then you came to youth group and then we were best friends again.
Yep.
So one of the questions that I saw that I thought was hilarious, it says, does everyone have this, oh, she's a bitch phase and now that person's your best friend? And we were too young to say like, oh, she's a bitch. But I remember like we did have that like, especially with the gum thing. Like I remember you being like, oh,
it wasn't like an immediate like, oh, I like her.
Well, first of all, I came up like, didn't even hardly know you. And I was like, can I have a piece of gum?
You're
like,
you're kind of abrasive.
yes. Okay, I come off quite strong.
Yes.
Yes.
And I feel like most people know you as this like really bubbly person, and you are.
Yes.
But like she actually like is very at first like you take a while to warm up.
Yes. And I feel like I can't be that person. I've never been that person. Like Rachel, if she meets somebody new, she's like, hi, I'm Rachel. And I'm like, hi, I'm Court.
Hi. It's like a very like, hi.
Hi. Hi. And then people read that as like, oh my God, she's so mean.
I remember like my friends in high school, like none of them liked you.
Yeah.
Like they all were like you would obviously be around and they were like, oh, I don't think Court really likes me. And then I'd talk to you and you'd be like, oh yeah, she was nice.
Yeah.
But like you just don't necessarily come across very warm.
I have a hard time. People have a hard time like reading me. And I'm also like very sarcastic. And then also people read that as like, oh, you're mean. She's a bitch.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not. I was trying to be funny and I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
But if you don't know me, I definitely come off very strong, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
So anyways.
But she is nice, I promise.
I'm super
nice. So if you're a fan and you see her, come say hi.
Yes. I'm nice when people like, yeah, I'm nice. It's just, I think I've never been that like, when you first meet me, you're like a different voice, like a different octave people do. Like even Ethan will do it. And I'm like, even like, hey.
Right. Like when you're like at a grocery store or getting Starbucks, you're not like, oh, thank you so much. It's like, thanks.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my voice. It's the tone. I know it is.
Yeah.
But I grew up with everybody being like, she was mean. She's mean. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not mean. But when you read that about eights, it's like a overwhelming thing that you read that everybody just thinks they're mean.
Well, and like you said too, like eights are very confident in themselves.
Yeah.
And I just feel like that's not the norm for most people.
Yeah.
So you're just like very sure of yourself and very like, nope, this is what I like. Yeah. And people are kind of like, oh. Like,
Rachel, like even when we were kids, I remember specific times that she'd be like, you have makeup under here. I'm like, yeah, I did it on purpose.
Yeah, I was like black and smudgy. I'm like, you got makeup. Yeah, I did it on purpose.
She's like, oh, I didn't know. Okay. And I'm so confident. Sometimes if I'm joking and I like am trying to like mess with Rachel and I'll be like, oh my God, did you hear that so-and-so? And I could totally sound dead serious. And she's like, are you serious? I'm like, no.
I just made that up.
I literally just made that up. One of my favorite stories, me and Rachel, literally, you guys have so many stories. I don't even know if we can pick them all.
I know. We've gone through like every awkward phase of life together.
Everyone. And we have so many stories. But let's talk about the time that you put the hole through the wall.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
I shared this story at Rachel's wedding because it's the best story ever.
She was my maid of honor and did the speech.
And I had to share it because it's a classic like Court and Rachel story. So like Rachel and Mandy's her sister. They have like when you walk into their room, there's like two walls. Like
you basically like walk into a wall and then you have to turn right.
Yeah. So it's like a hallway. And it's open just enough for the door. So that's like the width of this wall. And I feel like it was just Mandy that was like, look at what I can do.
Yeah.
And she climbed the wall with her feet. So her feet were on one side and her
back and butt
was on the other side of the wall.
She like shimmied up.
She shimmied up the wall. And I was like, oh my God, I want to do that. So I just shimmied up the wall and did it.
Yeah. Mind you, Court's like an ex-gymnast and like just like made it look so easy. And then it was my turn.
And then it was Rachel's turn. Oh my God.
And I tried and kept failing. And
they were like got stuck.
Yeah. Like, and then they both were like coming at me with like advice. And somebody, I don't remember if it was you.
It was Mandy.
Or Mandy. And they were like, you have to push. And so I pushed and my foot went through the wall.
Oh,
like literally my entire foot. Like it was a big hole.
It was, and I get so uncomfortable in situations like that I start laughing. And so I started laughing and Mandy and Rachel both
stared at the wall like we're in so much trouble.
Like, oh my God.
How old do you think we were? Like 14, 15?
You guys, we even took pictures. And then we were like, you have to hide those pictures. You can't show your mom.
Oh,
Remember
my
that?
gosh.
Yeah, we were probably like 14.
Yeah, we probably weren't 15. We were like probably 13, 14.
Yes.
So.
And I remember they like turned around and I remember them being like, Court, my mom could never get mad at you if you said you did it.
Yeah, we like came up with this master plan.
This
like,
whole plan.
we're just going to say that like someone scared you and you fell back and your elbow went through
The wall.
the
And they were like, my mom, she won't get mad at you. So we just have to say that you did it. And I was like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I want to. And I remember Rachel specifically saying, I will be your best friend forever
if you do this.
If you do this. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. So what we did then was because we had this plan that it was like, I got scared and my elbow went through the wall.
Yeah, and like who? I don't
First
even
of all,
know. It's so stupid.
the fact that your mom even had no clue.
Okay, but like someone, I don't remember who, was like, well, what if she looks at your elbow?
Yes.
And like is like, it's not even red.
Yeah.
So what do we do? Take a key and started scratching it?
Yes. They were like hacking at my arm, just like with this random key. And it got really red. And I was like, yeah, you guys you really got to get it to believe it. Cause then we did go up there.
And we
showed her
sold
my
this
arm.
story.
We did. You guys, she didn't even know that story. It was like even a thing until your wedding.
Yeah. It's like I literally forgot
So
to
did
tell
I.
her like, oh, by the way,
that
was not true.
Rachel, not Court. But Court said she did it.
Like we were just balancing on the wall.
Yeah.
And
then remember we were like, oh my God, what if your mom develops those pictures and she looks through them? And then we were like, it's all going to be over.
because it was on the little snap cameras.
Yeah.
It wasn't digital cameras.
No, they had to get it.
It was the
literally
Winder
developed.
disposable. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure there is a picture.
There is.
Of you and Mandy together up there at the same time, and I took the photo.
And we were like, no hands. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And you never made it up the wall.
And you know what? That wall stayed there or that like hole. And then Mandy started dating a guy who was in construction, and he patched it like
Ooh.
years later. I think it was Aaron.
That is hilarious. So that was the moment that we like to say, like, well, that was when we were like, we were best friends from there on.
I mean, at least I kept my word.
You did keep
We
your
are
word.
best friends.
And I kept my word, and I told her mom that I went through the wall.
And you know what?
Even though it was her.
It worked. My mom was not mad at Court.
No, she wasn't. And I probably would be the same way. I'd be like, well, God, I can't get mad at my friend's kid for like putting a hole through my wall, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go through the most famous and like biggest question.
Always.
Most of it is, do you guys fight? And what is the biggest fight you've ever had?
Okay.
And I specifically can remember the biggest fight we ever had.
Yep.
And yes, we do fight.
We do fight.
It's
like not very often, I will say, but
no.
It's like one big fight like a year, I swear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we both like get very defensive when we get in fights.
Yep.
And it's like our initial reaction is like anger and defensiveness.
Yep.
And then it's like
it like goes like this, and then
it's like we
take a break
on it, or
Yeah.
like both like stew on it, and then like I don't know, I feel like we're both really good at putting ourselves in somebody else's shoes.
Yes.
So then once we decide to finally talk it out, it's like, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but I also want you to hear where I'm coming from. And then it's
Right.
like literally like 2 seconds and we're like, okay, I'm over it.
And I feel like both of us, maybe it's just like human nature, or maybe it's an 8 and a 6 thing, but like all we need in a fight is for somebody to be like, okay, I get why you're saying you're mad. I get it.
Yeah, like validate our feelings.
Yes.
Basically.
And then we're like, okay, and I get yours. Okay, cool. And we are so good about being like, so anyways, do you want to hang out tomorrow? Like we could be in a fight that you would think
and
that
like
was
once we
world
let it
ending.
go,
Yeah.
we let it go.
We do. And then we'll joke about it.
Yep.
Like remember that fight we had at Summer Jam, and then we'll be like, yeah, oh my God, like blah, blah,
It
blah.
was so stupid.
Yeah. And
Yep.
then we're literally over it.
And I also feel like our husbands are really good about being like,
You guys fucking talk. That's like what Ethan
Yeah.
just is like, talk to her.
or you'll be like, yeah, Rachel's the Court. I don't think Rachel would say
Yeah.
that. Like,
I know. I think Rachel, blah, and Court. And when we do fight, I think our husbands literally hate it so much.
Well, because I obsess about it.
So do I.
Because I hate not talking to you.
I know.
It's like the worst.
One of the questions was, how long, well, let's talk about our biggest fight and
Okay.
how long we went without talking. Because really, in our whole friendship, I think we went like a week.
It was, yep, like.
And it was the worst. It was the worst.
And it was me ignoring Court.
Yes.
And her mom called me even.
Yeah.
And was like, Court's really upset.
Remember, you were grounded, but you were still allowed to come to my house.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Do you want to tell this story?
Sure. So I was kind of a naughty party girl in high school.
Yeah. Rachel had, how many minors did you have? Do you want to share that?
3.
She had 3, you guys.
Okay, but one was like 2 months before my
Stupid.
freaking 21st birthday in college. But
yes.
anyway, I got in some trouble. And so I went to a friend's house. And the thing with my parents is what's like, you can go on a Saturday, but you have to
Go
be
to
ready
church.
for church, which was at like 8 in the morning. Well, I had gone to a friend's house. Her parents were gone.
Yeah.
We were drinking. I drank too much, got sick, and was just so hungover.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know that, like,
Yeah.
it just lingers the next day. So my mom was like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. Well, Court's mom even saw me at church, and she gave me a hug.
My mom is
And her intuition is insane.
insane. Insane.
It's like she knew. Like
She knew.
She hugged me and was like, you smell like alcohol. And I was like, oh, weird. I even showered. That's
Oh,
just, it was
weird.
like bleeding through my pores.
Yeah, you're sweating.
Captain Morgan. I couldn't drink it for so long.
Oh my God. It's like you're sweating alcohol.
Ugh.
And my mom just being like, I smell alcohol on you. She did that to me before, by the way.
Yeah.
She did the same thing to me. But anyway.
So I go home from church. My mom has an inkling that I was drinking.
Mm-hmm.
I had obviously told Courtney the whole story when I got to church and was like, yeah, I swear I was so sick. I swear I could have gotten freaking alcohol poisoning. It was so horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom ended up calling you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Rachel's mom, like, first of all, it was like, we were like, what, 15?
Yeah.
Ish, 15, 16, something
yeah.
around there. And I didn't talk to Rachel's parents. Like, it would be like oh, hi.
Oh, hi, Court. How are you?
Yeah.
Like,
So when she called me, I remember it was like on the house phone. And my
your-
mom was like, Joy wants to talk to you. And I was like,
which I'm sure she kind of explained the situation to your mom. So your mom
Yeah.
was like, be honest.
tell her the truth. And I literally, oh my God, it was the worst thing ever. And I was so on the spot. And she was like, did Rachel, because she must have asked you if you drank and you were like,
I
no.
lied and was like, no,
Yeah.
I just don't feel good. I just don't feel good.
Yeah. And so, yeah, she was like, did Rachel drink? And I was like, and it took me literally forever to like answer it because I knew I'm so like, I couldn't lie to her.
Yeah.
And I also was like,
Knew that I was going to be mad if you
knew
said.
she was going to be pissed. And I was like, this is going to be such a fight if she like is like, I talked to Court. So yeah, basically I told her, yes, she did drink. And then she was mad at me and
Yeah.
didn't talk
Well,
to me
then
for
my
a
mom
week.
comes downstairs and I don't get the whole story that like her mom was there, my mom, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And she basically was like, I talked to Court and I know you drank. And I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
She threw me under the bus. Yeah. So I was pissed. I got grounded
Pissed.
for like a month. And
But she wasn't grounded from my house, of course.
no, it was like you could hang out with your church friends.
You can
Just-
go to the edge. Because that's
Yeah.
when we first talked.
Yeah, which
I
was like
remember.
a youth night that Courtney's parents would host.
Yeah. It was like a worship thing. There was pizza and a
So it was like
band
a
and-
full week we didn't speak.
which is so long, you guys. So long
Yeah.
for us.
And yeah, Court's mom, I remember, called me on like Friday night and was like, are you going to come tomorrow? Court is really upset. And I remember like showing up at the edge
It was so awkward.
and like, did we like immediately go in the bathroom? I remember
I felt
going
like it
into your
took
mom's bathroom.
yes. It took a while. And I remember there being this like, hey. And it was like so awkward because we're typically like just like,
Yeah.
And then we were both like, I got to go to the bathroom. And then we were in there for like, I don't even know how long, very long time.
Yeah.
And hashed it out. And I was like, I literally didn't know what to say. Like, I didn't want to lie to your mom. My mom obviously was like, don't fucking lie.
Yeah. Well, and like as an adult now,
Yeah.
like I would be like, even
Yeah.
if your mom called me at that age, I know I wouldn't have been able to be like, Yeah, no.
Right. No.
Nope. Don't know anything about it. Like, they know we share everything with each other. That's why she went to you.
Exactly. And I was telling her today, we were talking about this story, because I'm like, I mean, if Nevaeh was lying to me, like, I know I could be like, Kate, tell me the truth. And she'd be like, you know, it's like so intimidating when you're that age that you're like,
well, and obviously my mom was coming of a place of good and protectiveness.
Yeah.
You know, as a mom, you don't want your 16-year-old out there drinking.
For sure. So that was our biggest fight.
Longest. And
yeah. And that was pretty much it. There are so many good questions that one of the questions that I had to think about that I just was like, wow, big surprise. I like chug my drinks.
The chugger.
Yeah. And I'll be like, Rachel, catch up with me.
Yeah.
You
gotta be on the same level.
You take a big gulp. I'm such a bad influence. One of the questions was, did you ever like the same boy? And how weird is it to think that I don't think we did?
I don't think we ever liked the same boy, but I remember liking boys who didn't necessarily like me back.
Yeah.
And then I introduced them, and then they were like, oh, your friend Court. Remember I said, I'm never introducing you to any of my guy friends again.
Yeah, that's right.
One specific boy, I'm not going to say his name, but
I know who you're talking about too, because I was like, yes, you're right.
I mean, kind of dodged a bullet there. But
yeah, you did. But really, like, we never had a crush on the same guy at the same time.
Well, like, boys at camp that we thought were cute.
Yeah.
Like, we'd be like, yeah, don't you think he's cute?
Yeah.
But, like, it was never, like, a competitive, like.
No. Because those boys never liked us. So we just were from afar. Like,
or, like, they started hanging out with us and we were like, oh, just kidding. We don't like him anymore.
There was one specific one that both of us, like, oh, he's really
We obsessed
cute.
about him for a couple years. Because we would see him at, like,
all
church
the youth events
and camp. Yeah. And then he finally started showing us attention. And then we were like, no, don't like your personality.
Sorry, you're kind of boring. He would just stand there while we talked. And we were like.
Yeah, he was super awkward.
Okay. Yeah, but that is, like, I feel like it's really rare to have friends that, like, because that could be a major fight.
Oh, totally.
If we're like, I like him. And then you're like, no, I do.
I feel like we were attracted to, like, I remember every girl at church, I think, at one point or another, thought Ethan was cute.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
But, like, it was never one where I was like, I'm going to pursue it. It was just like, yeah, he's cute.
Yeah. Kind of like Steve, too.
Yeah. They were like the popular cute boys.
Yep. Poor Jason. I can't wait for you guys to meet Jason. But
oh my gosh.
He's coming. He lives in Alaska, but he was like we hung out. It was like
he got friend zoned real quick.
Really fast. He was our best friend. We still talk like almost every day. But it was just the three of us all the time.
Yeah. He'd like drive us around because he was older than us. And
yeah. And he wasn't a creep. He's just the funniest person you'd ever meet. And we love funny people.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more than I love than somebody
like
cracking
we were just
jokes
so
all the time.
drawn to his personality.
Yeah. He's freaking goofy.
Yeah.
And he makes the funniest, like, he has the freaking funniest stories, I swear to God. And he's super dramatic, too.
Yeah,
like, my God. Speaking of Jason, that reminds me of another story of the time that we told him your mom's name was Frances.
Yes.
Like, out of the freaking blue. Like, we are weird.
So weird.
And so Rachel's mom, her name is Joy, okay? Randomly, she told Jason, did you know my mom's name's Frances? And he was like, no way.
What?
Weird. And she goes, don't tell her though. She's really self-conscious about it. So Jason, literally, I remember being around at the time, and he walks up to your mom and he said, I know your secret.
And if you guys met my mom, like, she's like the sweetest, like,
yeah.
Like, she's like, oh, just smiling, like,
she said,
what?
You do? And he was like, yeah, but it's not a big deal. And she was like, oh, and literally had no clue.
Yep.
That we just randomly
like,
made
I
that
literally
up.
pulled it out of nowhere.
She pulled it out of her ass. Like, my mom's name's Frances.
Yeah, I remember saying it's actually her middle name is Joy, and that's why she goes by Joy, because she doesn't like her first name.
And what is even her middle name?
Lynn.
Oh, that's hilarious. And Jason, like, bought it for like a year. I remember you told me, like, By the way, I told Jason that my mom's name's Frances. Like, don't tell him it's not.
Yeah. And once again, we like let it go on for so long.
We just kept it going. Like, what a random ass story, by the way.
Oh my God.
Let's talk about what is your icks about each other. We've never talked about this before.
Yeah, I don't think we have. There's definitely icks.
Yeah. We both probably would say like our farts. They're so bad. And
we both have digestive issues.
Yeah. We eat a lot of cheese and like literally it doesn't
hilarious.
All the protein. I don't like, we might have to chew on that one for a bit. I really probably that like, I don't know. I guess you could say that I'm messy.
You are messy.
Super messy.
And also like many of you know that I work with Court.
Yeah.
And like it's my job to kind of like organize. And one of mine is like I will tell her something. And then days later I'll be like, did you ever do that? No, I didn't. I'm like, oh.
You many times, by the way, I got this from Emily for my birthday. And she's asked me almost every time. My birthday is coming up in like a month and a half. And this was last year. And she's like,
yeah, it's still leaning against the floor.
Have you hung my picture yet? And I was like, no, I didn't. I'm the worst at that. I really am. I still haven't.
Because I don't want to come across naggy, but I'm like, Court, this is your business. Like you have to like.
You need to sign this contract. And I'll be like, okay. And I feel like I'm undiagnosed, like, is it like ADD?
Yeah.
Because like I get so distracted. Like I will tell even Nick, I'll be like, hey, yeah, I'll do that. And then I totally forget and I'm doing something else. That's like my brain. It just is like da-da-da-da. One of my things with Rachel, probably because I'm not a planner, is that she will ask me like a week and a half or 2 weeks before an event, like all the details. And I know none of the details because I only go by like Rachel thinks like really far in advance.
Yeah. She's always like, it'll be like a week away. And to me, that's very soon. Like, I'm like, I want to plan.
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know. We have time to figure it out. And in my brain, I'm like, no, we don't. Like, it's a week away.
It's a week away. And I'm like, I have so many things to have. Like, if we have something planned on Saturday, I won't think about the actual details of the plan until Friday.
Literally, even like things like who's driving.
Yeah.
Who's like, I'm like,
what's the driving?
These things.
I know. And I'm like, I don't know.
We'll figure it out. She always just says, we'll figure it out.
I have to be like, you have to ask Ethan because I have no idea. But like it's like I'm future thinking, but like not planning. I don't plan things. Yeah. I plan things, but like details, no.
Well,
I'm not good with
that's why
details.
You and Ethan balance each other out well because he's a details guy and you're not.
And that's why you and Josh have like balanced each other out.
Yeah.
Josh is not a details guy.
Right.
Josh, the like world famous thing with Josh is when he had his credit card bill and you were like trying to figure out finances and you're like, well, when is it due? And he said, I don't know, like the 6th or the 16th.
I know it has a 6 in it. Well, I looked and it was literally like the 29th. Like it didn't even have a 6.
You're like, that's not even
And
true.
that is the day that I took over doing the bills. And life has been much more easy. Yeah.
Rachel and Josh, like when they first started like, you know, combining their bills and stuff, she would be so stressed out because Josh he's more like me, just like messy brain.
And I'm
is
like
what I
Ethan.
think of it. Yes. Details.
Yep.
Like Rachel, so maybe some of you don't totally know this, but Rachel works for me. She does like all of my like calendar, emails. She sends links. She like does the whole Canva things, all that stuff. And I need that.
Yeah.
Like, she started probably like 5 years too late. Really?
Yeah.
You kept being like, do you need my help? And I'd be like, no, I can do it. Cause I'm like that, like,
yeah, it takes a while for you to let go of like control.
Yes. Because I'm like, I don't know. Like if I do this, like I'm not going to know. I don't know. It just took me way too long to figure that out, but she's organized and I'm not. And you know, that's probably our icks is like,
yeah, I'll have to
personality
think of, like,
shit.
more juicy ones, but I can't think of it at the moment.
I really can't. I'm not like,
we're really a lot alike. So
we are. Ethan said in the last podcast, like,
yeah, I heard that today when I was listening.
Yeah. Like you guys are a lot alike, but you're not at the same time.
Yeah.
We have a lot of similarities, but we have a lot of different things too.
Yep.
What is one thing you two disagree on? Is there anything
I don't know.
Honestly, that's a really good question.
That really is.
I feel like for the most part, we think, like we said, like very similar.
Yeah, all the like big things were like
Big things.
very similar.
Yeah. We'll literally be in a room and like something will happen and we'll be like,
We both look at each other like you thinking what I'm thinking. Like we just can like read each other's mind.
we have to talk about this later.
Yeah.
Like not right now, but so it's like we're very similar on like what we're thinking at the same time. So I don't think there's one thing that we disagree on. I liked, it says, has Ethan and Rachel ever gotten into an argument?
Have we? I don't think so.
No.
No.
What would you get in an argument about? Really? I've never gotten in an argument with Josh.
As you guys heard, Ethan's such a people pleaser.
Yeah. He's apologized to Rachel before for certain things. If he even remotely thinks he hurts your feelings, he will apologize. Like if he thought like...
Yeah, honestly, Ethan is one of the most thoughtful people.
Yeah.
And like he just goes above and beyond, not only for Court and his family, but like for everybody.
Yes.
Like honestly, when Josh was deployed,
yeah.
I don't know, some of you may not know, my husband's in the military.
He is.
And in 2018, we kind of got blindsided with the deployment, and I had a 3-year-old and an 18-month-old. And like Ethan literally would watch my girls all the time, so me and Courtney could go out and like have breaks.
Yeah.
He came to my house once and cleaned the entire thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he would come and, you know, fix all the things and do my driveway and get my lawnmower ready. Like he's just...
Yeah, and
he's a hard guy to fight with.
He really is. He really is. Unless he's like, there are certain things that I'm like...
Yeah.
I'm going to get you.
I mean, such as being married to somebody.
Yeah. But really, like... I don't think like any of his friends really have had any fights with him because there's just really...
Yeah.
He's very easy to get along with, I will say.
For sure.
What is your pet peeves about Josh?
Oh.
We could go on.
We could go on. First and foremost, his snoring.
Oh my God. He is bad.
Dude has sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Like I told him, like, get a sleep study and otherwise you're getting a separate room.
Oh my gosh. I could not. Ethan starts
obviously
to breathe heavy.
That.
No.
You are like a...
Ethan breathes heavy and I'm like, roll over. Josh, I can hear him from a different room.
Yeah. Dude is he's aggressive snorer.
Aggressive.
Gosh, what are some other ones? I mean, there's...
He's very forgetful.
He's
like you
forgetful.
You could be like, hey, grab me milk on the way home, and he'll say, okay.
He'll be 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then he'll come home and I'll go, where's the milk? And he'll be like, I forgot it. I'm like, it was 15 minutes ago.
It was literally, you were just there.
Yeah. He is very forgetful.
Yes.
And he uses that as an excuse to forget. Like, I'm like, write it down. Like, you know you're forgetful at this point.
Like, write it in your notes.
Yes.
Ethan has a reminder thing.
Set an alarm or a reminder. Something. Josh is also very slow.
Oh, my God. And he always has to poop whenever we have to go anywhere.
Before we leave.
Every time.
Ugh. It's funny because our youngest daughter is super slow and he's always like, ugh, hell, so slow. I'm like, that's you. Like, literally, she is you.
And you're annoyed about it. That's why I get annoyed about it.
That's how I feel with you.
He is really slow.
He's pokey.
It's really funny because Ethan is like Mr. Speed.
He is.
All the time. That's one of my things that I don't think I mentioned before. That's one of my icks about him where I'm like, calm down.
Like, why are you rushing?
Yeah. We could be on time and he's still riding people's butts on the road. And I'm like, why?
Or like even when you're on vacation and you don't necessarily have an agenda, but like he feels like you have to like
what are we doing?
Do it by his timeline.
Yeah. And it's always really fast. Like he's shopping immediately fast. Like he could go through Costco, I kid you not, in like 20 minutes and still get a huge cart full of stuff. And he'll be like, yeah, I looked at everything. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, this is a good question. I like this one. Did you two try to have babies at the same time ever?
Oh.
Okay, so this is really funny. So Rachel's been through everything with me.
Yep.
The whole like me having Austin at 20. When I was 20, you were 19.
Yeah.
Ish. So like it's wild to think. Just wild. But after Austin and Nevaeh, I thought I was done. Remember, I just told everybody.
And obviously we were at Courtney got married so young and I went to college.
Yeah.
So we were at very different stages in our life, even though we were only like 6 months apart in age.
Totally different.
Yeah.
I remember specifically being like, one of the things for me, having kids really young is like, you'd be like, do you want to go to a movie? And I'm like, I have to find a babysitter. And you could just like up and go, but you were like a normal 20-year-old. Yeah. You know? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So, yeah. But anyway.
But yeah, so then Josh and I finally decided
dating young too.
Yeah. We met at 19 and got married at 24, which to some is still young to get married. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we finally decided to have kids. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I told Court and was like, I think I could be pregnant.
Yeah.
And she literally, we were actually living together at the time.
Yes.
Because Josh and I were going through this weird, like just getting done with college.
We haven't even discussed that in so long.
I know.
That you lived with us.
Yeah, in their basement.
Yeah.
We rented out the whole basement.
The whole basement. It was actually great. Like we had no problems.
Yeah.
No
sometimes,
problems.
Sometimes like living with people.
Especially like couples and stuff. You just like never know. But it worked out really well. But Rachel literally said like, I think I could be pregnant. And I was like, I'm getting my IUD out. And the next day.
She literally got an appointment the next day. And I went with you.
Yeah.
And you got your IUD out.
Yep.
And then it was like they immediately started trying. And then sure enough, I was pregnant.
Yep.
And then I remember almost exactly a month later, you came down and like woke me up and had a pregnancy test. And you were like, do you see 2 lines?
Yeah.
And I was like, it was very faint.
Yes. Yep.
But then I remember as it sat in the garbage, it got like brighter,
darker,
and brighter. And we were like, oh my gosh.
And it's funny, like, so then we had like literally 2 babies. We had Jada and Gray.
Yeah, and Jada's July 1st and Gray's August 3rd. So they're literally almost a month apart.
And Gray was three days late. Jada was she
2 days late?
Jada was 2 days late. Mm-hmm. So yeah, they were like literally, they're like a month apart.
Yep.
And I was like, oh my God, what if we have 2 girls and they're like best friends like us? Can you imagine?
Well, then we'd always say like, oh, they're going to get married if it's a boy or girl. And they're like definitely like brother and sister. Honestly, Gray would marry Hal before Jada.
He would. I was like, if anybody's going to get married, it would be Grayson and Hallie.
Yeah.
Jada and Gray are like, it's like you're my brother. You're annoying.
Well, they've just been around each other for so long and they're the exact same age and they're just...
Yeah. We have like these pictures of them and they were like, and it's so funny because they were 100% different babies.
Oh my gosh.
Jada was super colicky.
Yeah, she cried
and like
all the time.
All the time. And she did not have a quiet cry. Like she was like a wailer.
A screamer.
Mm-hmm. And Grayson, I remember, I specifically remember the day Josh came upstairs to like wash some dishes and he's like, oh, is Grayson in here? And I was like, oh yeah, he's in the swing. And he's like, oh my God, he's so quiet. I didn't even hear him. And I'm like, because you guys are just so used to Jada like crying all the time.
Yeah.
She was a tough baby.
Courtney would like come down after hearing her screaming for like an hour and she'd be like, I'm just going to take her for a second and like give you a break.
Yeah.
So thank God that I was living with you because
seriously,
Josh was like immediately had to go and do his annual training. So he was gone for 2 weeks right after I had her. And like, I
remember Rachel trying to like breastfeed and I would just like try to help and she would just,
she was panicky and freaked out and cried.
And then I would just, and it's so funny too, because like I'd take her and then Ethan would hold her and she'd like pass out on him.
Yeah.
For like hours.
Well, Eth would like swaddle she loved being swaddled. Like and to where you like she couldn't move. Like the tighter she was, the better she slept.
She loved it.
And Ethan is an immaculate.
He is. Like the way he did it is like he
taught Josh. And then I remember the nurses commenting when Hallie was in the hospital about like, wow, this is like the best swaddle I've ever seen.
He's like,
and it was like Eth's technique.
Yep. I don't even remember how he did it, but it's weird because Grayson hated it.
Some babies hated it. Oh my gosh, Jada loved
he would be
swaddled.
like, and then he would be fine once his arms were like normal and out.
I know.
But Nevaeh liked being swaddled, so. But she was a little bit more colicky. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it or
who knows?
Or what. But anyways, yeah. You lived with us for like a year, didn't you?
It was like just shy of a year, I think.
Yeah. Did you guys approve of each other's spouses? Well, Rachel doesn't really count, I guess, because like
I know I grew up with Ethan too.
Yeah, Rachel grew up with Ethan too. So like
I remember telling Courtney, Ethan likes you.
Yeah.
No way. No, he doesn't. I'm like, yes, he does.
Yep.
And then I remember her. I know she talked about the story like in the hot tub. And she literally called me right after that and was like, oh my God, you were right. Ethan just told me that he liked me.
She's like, I knew it. I
know.
But I remember specifically right after we started dating and Ethan was playing guitar and it was the first time like we hung out after me and Ethan were like officially dating. And Ethan like looked at me and smiled and you're like, this is so weird. Like, this is weird.
Yeah. It was like, it took like a second to be like, okay.
Yeah.
Like,
why does that remind me of like Summer House of Carl and Lindsay? Like, this is weird. Can you imagine if I was like, why is it weird?
Right.
Like, I was like, no, it is
like,
weird.
I'm allowed to think it's weird for a second.
I thought it was weird for a second.
Yeah.
Even I was like, I know you as a friend growing up since I was like 6, but like dating is different. Like it's weird. It's really weird.
But can we talk about how Ethan thought like I was a bad influence on Court?
Yes. My mom thought that too. Rachel for a while, I mean, she stuck it out, but she got some shit.
I did.
You got some shit. Even though I was really the bad influence at the end of the day.
It was always like Court's ideas to do what we did.
It was.
Because she knew that I had more access.
We're talking about underage drinking, by the way.
Yeah. It's like, obviously I already admitted that I was a party girl.
Yeah.
But like Court's parents were a lot more strict than mine.
Way.
So when she would come, she'd be like, we should drink.
Yeah. And she'd be like, okay. But then I don't know that I think there was like a couple times with my mom that I actually got caught. But I remember we were at a party one time and the cops came and I was like, we have to hide. If I get a minor, my mom's never going to let me hang out with you ever again.
She'll never let me talk to you again. And I'm thinking like, oh my gosh.
So we hid in a room full of boxes in the middle.
Well, what are the odds like we had to go to the bathroom?
Oh, thank God.
We went in the house and had to pee at the exact moment that these cops came.
Yes. And they were all like,
and some
stay here.
Older girl came in and was like, stay inside. The cops are here.
Yeah. Thank God for her. Like, oh my God.
And we hid in a room and a couple people got minors and we just like totally lucked out.
We did. We were like, we're not going outside. But Ethan really did think like I'd go hang out with Rachel. And this again, I know I talked about before, like Ethan did not have like a good relationship before me. So his like trust was not there. Like he just always thought somebody was going to be like, I was going to cheat on him or I was going to do this or that or whatever. But I was obviously still so young that I wanted to like go out and like experience new things and go to bars with Rachel and stuff like that. But yeah, he thought you were a bad influence. And Rachel is like, she is the one friend constantly. Like I drink and I am the nicest person you'll ever meet. And not that I'm not nice in real life, but if you meet me sober, I do that thing where I'm like, hey, how are ya? Yeah. And I'm super like, that's normally how I talk anyways. I try not to like fake it. I'll be drunk and I'll be like, oh my God. Hi. And and I'm like best friends with everyone.
Yeah. And I'm like the opposite where I'm really nice if I'm sober. And then when I drink, I'm suspicious of everybody.
Everyone.
And I'll be like, I remember she would come to college with me though. And like guys would come up to you and I was like, she's married and she has 2 kids. Leave her alone. Like don't touch her.
Yeah. And I would be, we'd just like hang out and she is, Rachel will fight you when she's drinking. She will.
Very protective of my people.
Yes. And I think that I want to talk about the like Enneagram thing really quickly too, is like 6s and 8s are like, they're so loyal.
Yeah.
And they're so protective of their people.
Right.
Like we are the most loyal / protective of like our friendship. Mm-hmm. Like Rachel will get a new friend or I'll get a new friend and we're both like, who is this new friend?
Yeah.
You kind of talking about him a lot. I don't think I like it. Like
immediately jealous. Like
immediately like, oh, really? Cool. Like even we've had specific like, instances where we get like that just because we're really protective. And then Rachel, she's a 6, so she's like suspicious of everyone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and Josh and Ethan are both like, they're not confrontational necessarily. And so I feel like sometimes I have to stand up for Josh and you have to stand up for Ethan.
Oh my gosh, like, yeah.
That's like, no, we're not doing that.
Because if Ethan, like, if somebody else starts like talking to Ethan or like is like hyper, I will like defend him. Yeah. And he's like, Court, calm down.
Like, it's fine.
It's fine. And I'm like, it's not fine.
Yeah.
Don't let people treat you like that.
Yep.
I can't handle it.